Chosen one. There's someone out there who thinks they're untouchable, someone who's never lost, someone who's made a career out of being the best at everything they do. But here's what they don't know. You are about to absolutely destroy their perfect record. Let me tell you something about chosen ones that nobody talks about. You don't get chosen because life is easy for you. You get chosen because you can handle what others can't. You get chosen because, while everyone else is looking for shortcuts, you're willing to take the long way around. All those times you felt left out. All those moments when you wondered why things seemed so much easier for everyone else. That wasn't punishment. That was preparation. Every rejection taught you resilience. Every setback showed you a different path. Every moment of being overlooked was actually you becoming invisible to your competition, while you gathered intelligence they never knew you were collecting. You've been watching, you've been learning, you've been taking notes while they've been taking applause, and now you're about to use everything you've learned. Here's what's happening behind the scenes that you might not even realize. You've developed what I call underdog intelligence. It's a type of awareness that only comes from having to work twice as hard for half the recognition. You see things others miss because you've had to. You understand patterns others ignore because you couldn't afford to. While they were getting comfortable at the top, you were getting educated at the bottom. But here's the beautiful part. The game is about to change, and you're the only one who knows how to play the new version. Picture this scenario. It's Monday morning, and you walk into a situation where the usual winner is already there, confident as always, maybe even a little cocky. They're expecting the same outcome they always get. They're playing the same moves that have worked for them 100 times before. But something's different this time. You're different this time. Maybe it's a work meeting where they usually dominate the conversation. Maybe it's a family gathering where they're used to being the center of attention. Maybe it's a social situation where they typically call all the shots. Whatever it is, you walk in with something they've never seen from you before. Quiet confidence. Not the loud, look-at-me confidence they're used to displaying. Not the peacock strutting, attention-grabbing confidence that announces itself from across the room. No, you walk in with the kind of confidence that doesn't need to prove itself because it knows something others don't. You sit down, you listen, you watch them do their usual thing, and for the first time, you're not intimidated. You're not trying to compete with their energy. You're not trying to match their volume or their bravado. You're just ready. And that's when they notice something's different. They can't put their finger on it, but something about your presence feels substantial. Like you're taking up more space without saying a word. Like you're more solid somehow. They might even feel a little unsettled, though they'd never admit it. Here's where it gets interesting. While they've been playing the same game the same way, you've been gathering information they never bothered to collect. You know things they don't know. You've seen patterns they haven't noticed. You've prepared for possibilities they never considered. This isn't about being sneaky or manipulative. This is about being thorough. This is about being the kind of person who does their homework while others are winging it. You know their weaknesses because you've had to study them to survive around them. You understand their strategies because you've been on the receiving end of them. You can predict their moves because you've watched them make the same ones over and over again, but they don't know yours. They've never had to study you because they never saw you as a threat. That's about to become their biggest mistake. Maybe you've discovered something they overlooked. Maybe you've developed a skill they don't have. Maybe you've built relationships they never bothered to cultivate. Maybe you've simply outgrown the version of yourself they think they know. Whatever it is, you're about to play a card they didn't know was in the deck. And when you do, the look on their face is going to be priceless. So there you are, in this moment where everything shifts. They're doing their usual thing, expecting their usual results when you make your move. It's not dramatic. It's not theatrical. It's just decisive. Maybe you speak up with an idea that solves the problem they couldn't crack. Maybe you reveal information that changes everything. Maybe you simply stand your ground in a way you never have before. Maybe you just perform at a level that makes everyone else look ordinary. Whatever you do, it's so unexpected, so out of left field from their perspective, that it catches everyone off guard. The room goes quiet. People look around at each other. And slowly, all eyes turn to you, not because you demanded attention, but because you earned it. For the first time, maybe ever, you're not the underdog in the room. You're not the one scrambling to keep up. You're not the one hoping to be noticed. You're the one setting the standard. And the person who's used to being the best, they're sitting there trying to figure out what just happened. They're looking at their usual playbook and realizing it doesn't have an answer for this. They're experiencing something they haven't felt in a long time, uncertainty. They're realizing that their winning streak just ended and they never saw it coming. See, when you unexpectedly beat someone who's used to always winning, it doesn't just change how others see you. It changes how you see yourself. For the first time, you realize that all those years of being underestimated weren't wasted. They were investment. All those times you felt like you weren't good enough, you were actually becoming more than good. Enough. You were becoming exceptional. And once you taste that feeling of being genuinely, undeniably excellent at something, you can't go back to accepting less from yourself. The person who beat you all those times, they're going to try to minimize what just happened. They might say it was luck. They might claim you caught them on an off day. They might try to make excuses or change the rules or find some way to diminish your victory. Let them. Because you know something they're just starting to learn. This wasn't a fluke. This was the natural result of all the work you've been doing when nobody was watching. This was your preparation meeting your opportunity. And now that it's happened once, it's going to keep happening. The following is a message from Mike, founder of the Obsidian Inner Order, powered by Astral Atom. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you walk through this awakening alone. Never gonna scroll past your suffering like it's just content. This isn't just a rickroll. It's a lifeline in disguise. I built the Obsidian Inner Order because too many of us have been exiled for seeing the truth. Cast out by family, gaslit by cults, haunted by gifts we didn't ask for. So now, we gather. Every week, live on Zoom. Real people. Real faces. A former CFO turned psychic, a seer who escaped Mormonism, a healer who broke free of ritual abuse. And yes, the calls are recorded, so when you're on the floor, you can come back to the field. We're not a meme. We're a miracle, and we're never gonna give you up. Join the Obsidian Inner Order, link in the description. Within days, people start seeing you differently. Conversations include you in ways they didn't before. Decisions wait for your input. People seek your opinion on things they used to handle without you. It's subtle at first. Maybe someone asks what you think about something they would have decided on their own before. Maybe you get invited to a meeting you wouldn't have been included in previously. Maybe people just listen more carefully when you speak, but you notice. And more importantly, they notice the person who used to dominate every situation. They're having to share the spotlight now. They're having to consider your perspective. They're having to acknowledge that you exist in ways they never had to before. And that's uncomfortable for them. They're used to being the smartest person in the room, the most capable, the most reliable, the go-to person for everything important. Now there's competition. Now there's someone else who might be better suited for certain challenges. Now there's you. This creates a fascinating dynamic. They can't ignore you anymore, but they're not sure how to relate to you either. The old dynamic is broken, but the new one hasn't fully formed yet. You're in this strange space where you're no longer the underdog, but you're not yet established as their equal. You're in transition, and transition makes everyone nervous. Before we talk about how others react to your victory, we need to address what's happening inside you. Because beating the best player doesn't just change how the world sees you, it fundamentally rewrites your internal operating system. For years, maybe decades, you've carried around a quiet voice that whispered things like, "You're not that special," or "Don't get your hopes up," or "People like you don't win big." That voice wasn't trying to hurt you, it was trying to protect you from disappointment, from putting yourself out there only to fall flat. But now that voice is confused. It's sitting there looking at the evidence of your victory, trying to make sense of what just happened. It's scrambling to update its database of what you're capable of, and honestly, it's struggling. This creates an interesting internal conflict. Part of you is celebrating, ready to take on the world, confident in ways you've never felt before. But another part of you is almost suspicious of this new reality. It's waiting for the other shoe to drop, for someone to reveal that it was all a mistake, for life to go back to the way it was. You might find yourself in moments where you feel incredibly powerful, followed by moments where you wonder if you imagined the whole thing. You might catch yourself downplaying what happened or making excuses for your success before others even ask for them. This is normal. This is your psyche, adjusting to a new version of yourself. The key is to be patient with this process while also being intentional about it. Start collecting evidence of your new capabilities. Keep a record of moments when you perform at this higher level. Pay attention to how differently people interact. With you now, you're not just celebrating one victory, you're integrating a completely new identity. You're becoming someone who wins when it matters. You're evolving from someone who hopes for the best to someone who creates their best. And that transformation, chosen one, is far more valuable than any single victory could ever be. Here's something most people don't talk about when they discuss sudden success. It doesn't just change your relationship with strangers or colleagues, it completely reshuffles the dynamics in your closest relationships. Your family members who've known you since you were struggling, they're trying to figure out how to relate to this new version of you. Some of them are genuinely proud and excited. Others might feel a little left behind or concerned that you're changing in ways that distance you from them. Your closest friends are going through their own adjustment period. The friend who used to be the successful one in your group might feel threatened. The friend who bonded with you over shared struggles might worry that you're outgrowing the friendship. The friend who always gave you advice might not know what their role is now that you're clearly figuring things out on your own. These shifts can be uncomfortable, but they're also necessary. Some relationships will deepen as people adjust to supporting your success rather than just commiserating with your struggles. You'll discover who genuinely wants to see you win and who was more comfortable when you were losing. But here's where it gets complicated. Some people in your inner circle might feel uncomfortable with your new level of confidence and capability. The family member who used to give you advice about being realistic, they're suddenly questioning whether their guidance was helpful or limiting. The friend who bonded with you over complaining about unfair situations, they might feel awkward when you're no longer available for those conversations because you're too busy creating solutions. There's also the uncomfortable truth that some relationships were built on you being the lesser person in the dynamic. The friend who felt better about themselves because you were always struggling more. The relative who enjoyed being the successful one in the family. Your victory threatens the foundation of these relationships. You might notice certain people become distant, or they start making subtle comments about how you've changed, or how success is going to your head. They might bring up your past failures more often, as if to remind you and themselves of who you really are. This isn't necessarily malicious. It's human nature to resist changes in established dynamics, especially when those changes challenge people's sense of their own position in the hierarchy. But the people who truly love you, they'll adjust. They'll learn to celebrate your victories. Instead of just supporting you through defeats, They'll discover that cheering for someone who's winning is actually more fun than constantly consoling someone who's losing. And as for those who can't make that adjustment, well, that tells you something important about the nature of those relationships, doesn't it? The most beautiful part of this whole story is once you beat the best player once, it becomes easier to do it again. Not because the subsequent victories are less challenging, but because you now know it's possible. You have evidence that you can perform at that level. You have proof that you belong in that conversation, and that knowledge changes everything. You start approaching situations differently. Instead of hoping you'll be good enough, you know you are. Instead of wondering if you can compete, you show up ready to win. Your energy changes, your posture changes, your voice changes. People can feel the difference even if they can't name it. And soon, you're not just the person who beat the best player once. You're becoming the best player. Other people who've been in your position start looking to you for inspiration. They see what you did and think, if they can do it, maybe I can too. You become proof that underdogs can win, that the underestimated can rise, that the overlooked can become indispensable. You become the example that shows others what's possible. This is where your story becomes bigger than just you. When a chosen one rises to their full potential, it doesn't just change their life, it changes the lives of everyone connected to them. Maybe you inspire your kids to aim higher because they see you reaching levels you never reached before. Maybe you show your family that the limitations they accepted don't have to be permanent. Maybe you demonstrate to your community that people like you can achieve things people like you weren't supposed to achieve. Your breakthrough becomes their breakthrough. Your victory becomes their possibility. The person who used to beat you, they might have won individual battles, but you're winning something much more significant. You're winning the war against the belief that some people are just naturally better than others. You're proving that excellence isn't about starting advantages. It's about persistent development. It's about refusing to accept that your current situation is your final destination. You're showing that chosen ones aren't chosen because they're lucky. They're chosen because they're willing to become who they need to become. Years from now, when people tell the story of how everything changed, they won't start with the day you finally beat the best player. They'll start with all the days before, that when you were preparing without knowing it. They'll talk about how you kept showing up when nobody was watching, how you kept improving when nobody was encouraging you, how you kept believing in yourself when nobody else did. They'll understand that your unexpected victory wasn't really unexpected at all. It was the predictable result of unpredictable commitment. The person who used to always win, they'll have found their place in this new reality. Maybe they'll have learned to respect competition in ways they never had to before. Maybe they'll have developed new skills because you forced them to up their game. Maybe they'll have become better because you challenged them to be. Or maybe they'll still be making excuses and wondering how someone like you could have beaten someone like them. Either way, it won't matter anymore because you'll have moved on to bigger challenges and greater victories. Here's what I want you to understand as this story concludes. You are not the same person who started watching this. The version of you that felt intimidated by the best player, that person is still part of you. But they're not the whole story anymore. They're the foundation upon which you built something greater. You now know what it feels like to be underestimated and then exceed every expectation. You know what it's like to be counted out and then prove everyone wrong. You know what it's like to be dismissed and then become undeniable. That knowledge changes you permanently. You can never go back to believing you're not good enough because you have evidence that you are. You can never again accept that others are just naturally better because you've proven that natural has nothing to do with it. You are living proof that chosen ones don't stay chosen because of who they were born to be. They stay chosen because of who they choose to become. And every time someone new feels like they'll never be good enough, like they'll never beat the best player, like they'll never get their moment to shine, your story will be there to remind them that unexpected victories are the best kind. Because when you beat the best player, when nobody saw it coming, you don't just win a game. You change the game, and that, chosen one, is exactly what you were meant to do. So what happens now? Now you get to decide what comes next. You could rest on this victory, satisfied that you finally proved yourself. You could use this moment as your peak, the story you tell for the rest of your life about that one time you showed everyone what you were made of. Or you could use this as the foundation for something even greater. You could realize that if you could beat the best player, once you can probably do things you haven't even imagined yet. You could understand that this victory wasn't your destination. It was your departure point. The choice is yours. But remember, you didn't get chosen to be ordinary. You didn't survive everything you've survived to settle for good enough. You didn't develop all those skills, gather all that wisdom, and build all that strength just to use it once. You got chosen because you have something special to offer the world. And now that you know you can beat the best player, the world is about to find out what that something special really is. Your unexpected victory was just the beginning. The best is yet to come.